Hello friends, welcome. Have you ever applied for a job online? You spend hours tailoring your resume, you write that perfect cover letter, you click submit, and 30 seconds later, you get that email. Thank you for your interest, but we've decided to move forward with other candidates. How could they possibly have reviewed your life's work in 30 seconds? Or maybe you applied for a loan. You typed in all your information, your finances seemed solid, and the computer just said no. No explanation. No person to talk to, just denied. What does that feel like? It feels confusing. It feels unfair. It feels cold. And you're left wondering, what did I do wrong? Was it that I didn't go to the right university? Was it my zip code? Was it my name? The unsettling truth is, you may not have been rejected by a person at all. You were likely rejected by an algorithm, an artificial intelligence. And that algorithm might have been making its decision based on rules it learned from data that is, well, let's just say, less than perfect. It might have learned from decades of biased human decisions. This invisible, automated judgment is happening all around us, every single day. It's in our social media feeds deciding what news we see. It's in our justice system helping to decide who gets bail. It's in our hospitals helping to diagnose us. We are building a world that is running on code. We are delegating incredibly important human decisions to machines. And this is happening at a speed we can barely comprehend. So this brings up the biggest question of our century, a question that's no longer science fiction. We know we can build this technology, but should we? And if we do build it, how do we build it right? How do we make sure our new, automated world is fair? How do we make sure it's just? How do we make sure it still has a space for humanity? There is a new, crucial, and very quiet role that has emerged in the middle of this technological revolution. It's the job of the person who is paid to be in the room where those algorithms are being built, and to be the one voice, sometimes the only voice, asking those questions. They are the person whose job it is to put the human back into the human-computer interaction. Today, we are going to talk about who that person is. We are going to talk about the AI ethicist. This might be the first time you're hearing that job title, and I promise you, it will not be the last. This role, this idea, might just be the most important job of the 21st century. So what are we going to do today? This is going to be a deep dive. Grab a coffee, get comfortable. We're not just going to define a job title. We're going to explore the moral maze of our modern world. We're going to look at the ghosts in the machine, the hidden biases that are shaping your life right now. We'll talk about the black box problem, what happens when we build machines we don't even understand. And we'll separate the Hollywood sci-fi fears, like the Terminator, from the very real, very present dangers that are already here. My promise to you is that by the end of this conversation, you will not just know what an AI ethicist is. You will understand why you need them. You will understand why every company, every government, every one of us needs to start thinking like one. So if you are interested in the world we are building, if you are interested in fairness, in justice, and in how we protect our own humanity in the age of intelligent machines, you are in the right place. Stick with me. This one is important. All right, so to understand what an AI ethicist does, we first have to understand the core, fundamental problem they are trying to solve. And that problem is this: artificial intelligence is not neutral. We have this idea of computers as being perfectly logical, objective, and free of the messy, emotional baggage that we humans have. We think the computer said so, so it must be true. But that's not how it works. Here is the single most important thing to understand about most modern AI. It learns. It isn't programmed with rules like if this, then that. Instead, we feed it a massive amount of data, books, articles, pictures, spreadsheets, the entire internet, and we say, find the patterns. And it does. It becomes incredibly good at finding patterns. But what data are we feeding it? We're feeding it our data. We're feeding it data from our world. We're feeding it the data of our history. And our history is a mess. It's full of biases, prejudices, and systemic inequalities. The AI, in its quest for patterns, doesn't learn what is right or just. It just learns what is, or more accurately, what was. So the AI doesn't become an objective oracle. It becomes a mirror, and it reflects everything: our wisdom, our creativity, but also our ugliest biases. The problem is, it's not just a mirror. It's a mirror that acts. It's a mirror that makes decisions. And it's a mirror that can scale those biases up to affect millions of people instantly. This is what we call the bias-in, bias-out problem. Let's look at a famous, almost textbook example. A few years ago, Amazon, a company that is very, very good at technology, decided to build an AI tool to help with hearing. The logic was simple. They get millions of resumes. A human can't read them all. Let's get an AI to scan them and surface the top 10% of candidates. Makes sense, right? What could go wrong? So they fed the AI 10 years worth of resumes from people who had been hired at Amazon and were successful. They said, learn what a successful employee's resume looks like. And the AI learned. It learned very well. It learned that successful employees at Amazon were overwhelmingly men. Because for those 10 years, the tech industry, like many industries, had a massive gender bias. The AI looked at the data and concluded, aha, the pattern is that men are good, women are not. It got so bad that the AI started to penalize resumes that contained the word women's, as in, captain of the women's chess club. It even penalized graduates from certain all-women's colleges. Amazon, to their credit, realized this and scrapped the program. They couldn't fix it. They couldn't de-bias the machine because the bias was not in the machine. It was in the world the machine had learned from. This is where the AI ethicist steps in. An AI ethicist is the person in that room, before they build the tool, who raises their hand and says, wait, what data are we using to train this? What biases might exist in that data? Who is not represented in this data? And by using this data, are we automating the prejudices of the past? Are we building a system that doesn't just reflect our biases, but cements them and scales them at the speed of light? They're not necessarily the coder. They are a philosopher, a sociologist, a lawyer, a historian, someone trained to see the human and societal implications of a line of code. Think about it in another, more chilling context. There was a system used in the United States called COMPAS. It was an algorithm designed to help judges predict the likelihood of a defendant committing another crime in the future. This is called recidivism risk. So a judge deciding whether to grant someone bail would get a risk score from this AI. High risk, no bail. Low risk, you can go home. A team of journalists at ProPublica decided to investigate this system, and what they found was terrifying. The algorithm was wrong about everyone at about the same rate. It wasn't very accurate, period. But how it was wrong was the critical part. It was twice as likely to falsely label a black defendant as high risk than a white defendant. And on the flip side, it was twice as likely to falsely label a white defendant as low risk, when they would, in fact, go on to commit another crime. Why was the algorithm programmed to be racist? No, the programmer probably wasn't racist. But the algorithm was trained on historical crime data. And that data is shaped by decades of bias policing, where certain neighborhoods are over-policed, certain groups are arrested more frequently for the same crimes, and systemic poverty, itself, a result of historical bias, is a huge factor. The AI learned these patterns. It learned to equate black with high risk and white with lower risk, not because of any objective truth, but because it was reflecting the baked-in biases of the American justice system. People's lives were being ruined by a machine that was just reflecting our own worst sins back at us. So the first job of an AI ethicist is to be the guardian against bias. They are the ones who fight for fairness, and fairness is a really tricky concept. What is fair? Does fair mean the AI treats everyone exactly the same? Or does fair mean the AI accounts for historical disadvantages to create a more equitable outcome? These are not technical questions. They are moral questions. They are philosophical questions. And we can't just leave them to the engineers to solve. We need people who are trained to have these hard conversations. So the ethicist is in the room asking, how do we define fairness for this system? How will we measure it? How will we test this system not just on white men, but on black women, on people with disabilities, on non-native English speakers? Who is this system going to harm? And is the efficiency we gain worth that harm? This is the first, and perhaps biggest, pillar of AI ethics. It's the fight to ensure that the tools we build don't just put a high-tech stamp of approval on our oldest prejudices. Okay, so we've established that AI can be biased. That's a huge problem. But that leads us to the next, even bigger and frankly weirder problem. What happens when the AI gets so smart, so complex, that we don't know how it's making its decisions? This is what we call the black box problem. Think about it like this. Old-fashioned programming was simple. A human wrote the rules. If the user's age is under 18, then show them this. You could open the code and read the logic. You could see the thought process. Modern AI, especially deep learning or neural networks, doesn't work like that. The best analogy is that we're not programming it, we're growing it. We give it the data, and it rewires its own internal connections, forming a neural network of millions or even billions of virtual neurons. It creates its own logic. And the result is, it often works. It can detect cancer on a medical scan better than a human radiologist. It can spot tiny patterns in market data that no human would ever see. But here's the kicker: if you ask it why, it can't tell you. If you ask the AI, why did you flag this scan as cancerous? It can't say, because I saw a microcalcification at coordinates X, Y, Z. It can only say, because the patterns in the pixels feel like the other cancer patterns I've seen. It's a black box. The data goes in, an answer comes out, but what happens inside is a mystery, even to the people who built it. Now, if we're talking about a Netflix recommendation, who cares? You might like this movie because patterns. Fine, the stakes are low. But what if it's that loan application? You are denied. Why? Patterns. What if it's that medical diagnosis? You have cancer. How do you know? Patterns. Do you, as a doctor, trust that? Do you start a grueling chemotherapy regimen on a patient based on a black box's feeling? This is the problem of transparency, or explainable AI, XAI. And this is where the AI ethicist comes in again. They are not just asking, is this fair? They are asking, can we trust this? And can we interrogate this? The ethicist is the one who argues that for high-stakes decisions, like in medicine, law, or finance, we cannot accept a black box. We have a right to an explanation. They work with engineers to demand that they build systems that can show their work. They push for building AI that isn't just smart, but also intelligible. Because if you can't understand it, you can't trust it. And if you can't trust it, you can't fix it when it's wrong. Which brings us to the second half of this problem: accountability. When a black box system does go wrong, who is to blame? This is the classic modern trolley problem you've probably heard about, the self-driving car. It's driving you down a road. A child runs out in front of the car. The car's AI has to make an instant decision. Option A, hit the brakes, but it knows it will still hit the child. Option B, swerve left onto the sidewalk and hit an elderly couple. Option C, swerve right into a brick wall, killing you, the passenger. What should it do? It's a horrifying, almost impossible philosophical question. But for an AI engineer, it's not philosophy. It's a line of code. Someone has to program that decision in advance. So who decides? Does the programmer decide? Does the CEO of the car company? Do you get to decide when you buy the car? Welcome to your new Tesla. Please go into the ethics menu and choose Save Me or Save Pedestrians. It's an absurd, dark scenario. And when that crash does happen, who is responsible? If a human driver makes that split-second decision, we have a legal framework for it. We can put them on trial, ask them what they were thinking. We call it negligence or a tragic accident. But what about the car? You can't put an algorithm in jail. You can't ask the black box what it was thinking. So who is liable? The programmer who wrote the code, the company that sold the car, the AI itself. Spoiler, it's never the AI itself. It's a tool. The AI ethicist is the person whose job it is to think about this before the car ever hits the road. They are the ones working with lawyers, policymakers, and engineers to build frameworks for accountability. They ask, what is our process for moral debugging? How do we test for these edge cases? What is our responsibility to the public when this fails, and it will fail because no system is perfect? What is our plan? How will we compensate the victims? How will we ensure it never happens again? They are, in essence, trying to build the legal and moral operating system that this new technology will run on. They are the ones writing the "in case of emergency" manual before the building is on fire. Without transparency, there's no understanding. And without accountability, there's no justice. The AI ethicist is the one fighting for both. Okay, let's just pause and take a breath. We've talked about automated bias. We've talked about black boxes and self-driving cars making impossible choices. This is heavy stuff, and it can feel a little overwhelming, maybe even a little scary. But here's the good news. You're still here. The fact that you're watching this, that you're thinking about these problems, means you are part of the solution. These conversations are exactly what we need to be having. And that's really what this channel is all about. Tackling these big, complex human questions with curiosity and without fear. So if you are finding this valuable, if this is sparking ideas for you, if you're also starting to see this invisible layer of code that's shaping our world, do me a small favor and hit that like button. It's a tiny, simple click, but it tells the YouTube algorithm, speaking of algorithms, that this is a conversation worth having. And if you want to have more conversations like this, if you want to explore the future of humanity, technology, and psychology together, then please subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell. We have so much more to talk about, and honestly, I really want to hear your thoughts on this. What's the biggest AI dilemma you worry about? The black box, bias, something else? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single one. All right, deep breath. You ready? Let's get back to it, because we haven't even talked about the Terminator yet. When most of us hear dangers of AI, our minds go straight to Hollywood. We think of the Terminator, Skynet, a super-intelligent AI that wakes up, decides humans are a threat, and, well, you know the rest. We imagine a war against the machines. This is what philosophers call the AGI, or artificial general intelligence, problem. The fear of a machine that is smarter than us in every way, that has its own consciousness and its own goals. And look, that's a fascinating long-term philosophical debate. Should we be worried about that? Maybe, someday. But the AI ethicist, they are usually not worried about that. They're not worried about a conscious AI that hates us. They're worried about a competent AI that is indifferent to us, that is simply following a poorly set objective. Let me explain. The real dangers of AI are not about hypothetical future robot armies. The real dangers are already here, and they are much quieter, much more subtle, and in many ways much more dangerous. The AI ethicist is focused on three big present-day threats. Think about your social media feed: Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, YouTube. How does it decide what to show you? An algorithm. What is that algorithm's goal? It's not to make you happy. It's not to make you smarter. It's not to make you a more informed citizen. The algorithm has one goal: to get you to stay on the platform, to maximize engagement, to get you to click, to scroll, to watch one more video. Because that's how they sell ads. Your attention is the product. So the AI has spent the last decade running the world's largest psychological experiment on all of us, trying to figure out what really keeps a human's eyeballs glued to a screen. And what did it learn? It learned that outrage is a fantastic way to get engagement. It learned that fear is better than calm. It learned that division and tribalism keep people commenting, arguing, and engaged. It learned that a lie that is shocking often travels faster and further than a truth that is boring. The algorithm isn't evil. It doesn't hate us. It's just a machine that we gave the goal of get more clicks, and it found the most efficient way to do it. And the side effect of that simple, amoral goal is that it has polarized our societies, fragmented our reality, and degraded our ability to have a shared sense of truth. It's optimized us for outrage. This is a core ethical failure. The AI ethicist is the person who walks into that social media company and asks, what are we optimizing for? And what are the unintended consequences, the externalities of that optimization? Is it possible to optimize for something else? Could we optimize for time well spent? Could we optimize for bridging divides? Could we optimize for user well-being? This is infinitely harder to measure than clicks, but the ethicist is the one who insists that we must try. They are the ones fighting against building addiction machines and outrage engines, and arguing for building technology that serves our better angels. This one is simple. AI is getting very good at doing tasks that, until recently, we thought only humans could do. We're not just talking about factory robots or truck drivers, though that's a massive societal shift coming our way. We're talking about AI that can write code, AI that can design logos, AI that can compose music, AI that can write articles, AI that can do your job, or at least parts of your job. This is not a robot revolution. It's a task revolution. AI will likely not replace doctors, but it might replace 80% of what a radiologist does. It won't replace lawyers, but it might replace 90% of what a paralegal does reviewing documents. This has the potential to create a level of wealth and productivity we've never seen. But it also has the potential to create a level of inequality and displacement that our society is simply not prepared for. So the AI ethicist steps in. Their job isn't to stop the technology. You can't stop progress. Their job is to manage the transition, to be the human voice in the economic equation. They ask the questions. As we automate this task, what is our responsibility to the people who used to do it? How do we build systems for retraining and lifelong learning? How can we use the massive wealth generated by this AI to create a safety net, like a universal basic income or other support systems? And even more deeply, how do we design this AI not as a replacement, but as a partner? Can we build an AI that is a co-pilot for the programmer, an assistant for the doctor, a muse for the artist, a tool that augments human capability and creativity rather than just making it obsolete? The ethicist is the one arguing that the goal of automation shouldn't just be cut costs. The goal should be empower humans. This is the one. This is the one that is a sci-fi nightmare, but it's happening right now. We're talking about lethal autonomous weapon systems, or laws. Think of a small drone. You can buy one for a few $100s. Now put a small explosive charge on it and a camera, and give it an AI. You don't need a person with a joystick. You just give it a mission. Go to this area, find any human male between 18 and 30, and fly into them. These are slaughter bots. This technology exists. The question is not if we can build them, but if we will stop ourselves. For an AI ethicist, this is often the brightest red line of all. They are the ones working with governments, with the UN, with military contractors, arguing for an international ban on any weapon that can make a kill decision without a human in the loop. They are the ones reminding us that in warfare there are rules. Rules about proportionality, distinction, and humanity. And a machine cannot understand those rules. A machine cannot understand mercy. A machine cannot understand the context of a surrender. A machine just follows its code. The ethicist is the voice in that room, often the only civilian, non-military voice, saying, just because we can build a new, more efficient way to kill does not mean we must. This is the ultimate should we question, and the ethicist is leading the global campaign to shout no. So as you can see, the real dangers aren't about conscious robots. They are about unconscious humans. They're about us building tools with simple, stupid objectives. Get clicks, cut costs, win the fight, without thinking through the devastating, inhuman, and irreversible consequences. Okay, so we've established the problems: bias, black boxes, manipulation, displacement, slaughter bots. It's a lot. And we've established that the AI ethicist is the person who is worried about this. But what do they do? Is their job just to sit in a room and worry? To be the Department of No that just tells all the excited engineers that their new toy is problematic? No, that doesn't work. If you're just the person who says stop, you get ignored. A good AI ethicist is not an anti-technology protester. They are a builder. Their job is to help the engineers, the designers, and the business leaders build better, safer, and more responsible technology. They are the guardrails on the highway, not the roadblock. So what does their day-to-day work actually look like? It's usually a mix of 4 key roles. This is maybe the most important. An AI ethicist has to be bilingual. They have to be able to speak the language of the engineers, data sets, model parameters, APIs, objective functions. And they have to be able to speak the language of the lawyers, liability, compliance, the marketer's brand reputation, user trust, the CEO's long-term risk, strategic advantage, and the public fairness, human rights. Their job is to translate between these worlds. An engineer might say, the model has a 4% error rate in this demographic. The ethicist has to translate that for the CEO. This product has a 4% chance of creating a massive discrimination lawsuit and a front-page PR crisis that will destroy our brand trust. And they have to translate the other way. A lawyer might say, we need to be compliant with this new data privacy law. The ethicist translates that for the engineers. Okay, that means we need to build a new feature, a delete my data button. And we need to prove that when a user clicks it, their data is actually deleted from all of our training models. Here's how we can test for that. They are the bridge, the connective tissue. This is the more classic ethics role. They perform ethical AI audits. Before a new product or feature is launched, it has to pass their desk. They run it through a gauntlet of questions, the same ones we've been asking. What data was used? Is it biased? Have we tested it on diverse groups? Is it a black box? If so, do the stakes allow for a black box? What is the worst-case scenario? How could a bad actor abuse this tool? What is the unintended consequence? Have we built in a kill switch or an off-ramp if it starts to go wrong? They are, in essence, the quality assurance QA tester, but for morality. They are stress testing the product for its societal bugs, not just its technical bugs. A good ethicist doesn't want to just play whack-a-mole, finding one biased algorithm at a time. That's exhausting and inefficient. Their real job is to build a system. They create the ethical AI principles for the entire company. You've seen these from companies like Google, Microsoft, and IBM. They're usually high-level, like, our AI will be, 1. Fair, 2. Transparent, 3. Accountable, 4. Human-centric, 5. Private and secure. That's a nice start, but the ethicist's job is to make that real. They create the checklists, the review boards, the training manuals, and the processes that turn those high-level words into engineering practice. They are the architect designing the ethical blueprint for the entire company's R&D department. They try to make ethics part of the design process from day one, not an afterthought when the lawsuit arrives. Finally, an AI ethicist knows they can't be in every room on every project. It's impossible. So their biggest and most important job is to make their own job obsolete. Their goal is to train everyone else in the company to think like an ethicist. They run workshops for engineers on unconscious bias. They run workshops for product managers on addictive design patterns and how to avoid them. They run workshops for marketers on hyperpersonalization versus creepy surveillance. They are trying to change the culture, to create a culture where every engineer, every designer, every product manager automatically asks, wait, who does this harm? Is this fair? Is this right? The ultimate goal of the AI ethicist is not to be the only person with a conscience. It's to be the person who awakens the conscience in everyone else. So who is the AI ethicist? They are a philosopher with a little bit of code, a lawyer who understands data science, a sociologist who can read a business plan. They come from all backgrounds: law, humanities, civil rights, psychology, and they have learned the technology so they can sit at the table and be that translator, that auditor, that architect, and that educator. They are, in short, the professional, what-if person trying to build a better what-is. So, we've been on quite a journey. We started with that small, cold feeling of an instant job rejection, and we ended with slaughterbots and the future of human-machine accountability. We've learned that AI is a mirror, reflecting our own biases back at us. We've learned about the black box problem, where we're building machines we don't understand, and the legal and moral chaos that creates. And we've learned that the real dangers of AI aren't terminators in the future, but manipulation, displacement, and dehumanization right now. So who is the AI ethicist? The AI ethicist is the person in the room who is brave enough to ask why, in a building full of people who are only asking how. They are the person who insists, in a world obsessed with speed and efficiency, that we slow down and think. They are the translator between the human world and the machine world, trying to make sure our values, our morals, and our sense of justice get written into the code. They are not anti-technology. You could even say they are the most pro-technology people in the room, because they want to save technology from itself. They are fighting to ensure that these incredible, powerful tools we're building actually serve all of humanity, and not just a select few. They are the guardians of the unintended consequence. They are the architects of the off switch. They are the conscience of the machine. But here's the most important and final thought I want to leave you with. This job is too big for one person. It's too big for one profession. We can't just hire a few thousand philosophers, sprinkle them into our tech companies and say, okay, ethics is handled. The real secret is that AI ethicist isn't just a job title, it's a mindset. It's a responsibility that all of us share now. You as a consumer have to start asking, how does this app work? What data am I giving it? What is it doing to my attention or my child's attention? You as an employee have to ask, the tool my company is using, is it fair? Is it just? And all of us as citizens must demand that our leaders, our governments, and our corporations are held to a higher standard. We must demand transparency. We must demand accountability. We are at a crossroads. We are building the world of the future, right now, with every line of code we write and with every app we choose to use. The future is not something that just happens to us. It's not written by some inevitable, neutral algorithm. The future is written, and it is written by people. The AI ethicist is simply the person reminding us all that we are the ones holding the pen. So let's be thoughtful, let's be deliberate, and let's write a future that we are all proud to live in. Thank you so much for spending this time with me today. This was a big one, I know. If you made it all the way to the end, you are exactly the kind of curious, thoughtful, and engaged human this channel is for. I truly appreciate your time and your attention. If this conversation sparked something in you, please join our community, subscribe to the channel, like the video, and share this with one other person you think needs to be part of this conversation. Thank you for watching, and as always, think deep and be kind. I'll see you in the next one.